Stop. The voice in Specialist Marcus Webb's head was clear, absolute, urgent. Marcus raised his fist. The patrol halted immediately. Staff Sergeant Chen moved up beside him. What is it, Webb? Something's wrong. We need to check the road ahead. You see something? No. I just know. Something's there. Chen sighed. This was the fourth time in 2 weeks Webb had stopped a patrol based on nothing visible, nothing tactical, just a feeling. But the previous 3 times, they'd found IEDs, ambush positions, threats that should have killed them. All right, Chen said. We check. They sent the robot forward, found the pressure plate IED buried exactly where Webb said something was wrong. Chen looked at Webb with a mixture of gratitude and unease. How do you know, Webb? Every time. How? Marcus couldn't answer, because the truth would sound insane. He heard voices, clear, tactical, specific, voices that warned him about threats before anyone else could see them. And he had no idea if he was gifted or going insane. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to Acts of Veterans so you never miss these true tales of courage, and tell us in the comments, where are you watching from today? Marcus Webb had always heard things other people didn't. As a child, he'd tell his parents about conversations he'd overheard that nobody else remembered having, about sounds in empty rooms, about warnings that came from nowhere. His parents took him to doctors, audiologists tested his hearing, psychologists evaluated his mental state. Nobody found anything wrong, just an imaginative kid with an overactive mind. By his teenage years, Marcus learned to keep quiet about what he heard. People didn't understand. They thought he was lying or seeking attention. So he stopped mentioning it, stopped trusting the voices, tried to live like everyone else. When he enlisted in the Army at 19, he thought military structure and discipline might quiet the noise in his head. Clear routines, defined expectations, no room for ambiguity. For a while, it worked. Basic training was so physically and mentally demanding that the voices receded into background noise. He could ignore them. Then he deployed to Afghanistan. The voices came back, louder, clearer, more insistent than ever. After the first time in his life, they were undeniably useful. The first incident happened 3 weeks into his deployment. Marcus was on a routine patrol through a village near fog lightning. The day was quiet. Intel showed low threat levels. The platoon was relaxed. Then Marcus heard it, not with his ears, with something else, a voice inside his head, male, calm, certain. Stop. Don't go around that corner. 30 meters ahead on the left. Marcus froze mid-step. Staff Sergeant Chen noticed immediately. Webb, you good? Marcus looked at the corner ahead, saw nothing unusual, but the voice had been so clear, so specific. Sergeant, I think there's something ahead. We should check. Chen looked skeptical. You see something? No, I just have a bad feeling. Chen studied him. New soldiers got nervous, got spooked by shadows. But Webb hadn't shown signs of panic before. All right, we'll check it out. They sent a soldier with a metal detector forward, swept the road carefully, found the pressure plate IED exactly where the voice said it would be, 30 meters ahead, left side. Chen looked at Marcus with new eyes. Good instincts, Webb. You saved us. Marcus nodded but said nothing, because it wasn't instincts. It was a voice, and he didn't know what that meant. The second incident happened a week later. The patrol was moving through an open field when the voice returned. Sniper, 200 meters. 11 o'clock. In the tree line. Marcus's head snapped toward the indicated direction. Saw nothing, but the voice was insistent. Sergeant, we need to take cover, now. Chen looked at him. Why? I think there's a sniper. Tree line. 11 o'clock. Chen followed his gaze. Saw only trees. Webb, I don't see anything. Please, Sergeant, trust me. Something in Marcus's voice made Chen act. Everyone, cover positions. Now, the platoon scattered, taking defensive positions behind rocks and depressions in the ground. 5 seconds later, a rifle shot cracked through the air. The round impacted exactly where they'd been standing. Chen's radio exploded with chatter. The platoon returned fire, called in air support, neutralized the threat. Later, Chen pulled Marcus aside. How did you know? I don't know. Sergeant, I just felt it. Chen studied him carefully. You've got good combat instincts, Webb, better than most soldiers I've seen. Keep trusting them. But they weren't instincts. They were voices. And Marcus was starting to understand that they were trying to keep him alive. By the third incident, Marcus's reputation had spread through the platoon. Webb's got a sixth sense. The kid can smell ambushes. Whatever he says. Listen, he's never wrong. Marcus didn't encourage the talk. Didn't explain. Just stayed quiet and tried to process what was happening to him. The third incident was the most specific yet. The patrol was preparing to enter a compound when the voice spoke. Don't go in. Trap. 3 fighters inside, waiting with aches. They'll open fire the moment you enter. Marcus stopped at the entrance. Sergeant Chen, I think this is a trap. Chen paused. Why? No. There are people inside, waiting. Chen didn't question anymore. He learned to trust Marcus's warnings. They altered the approach, used a different entry point. Threw flashbangs first. 3 Taliban fighters were inside, exactly as the voice had said, armed, with aches, positioned to ambush anyone entering through the main door. The platoon captured them. Without casualties, that night, Lieutenant Morrison called Marcus into his office. Webb, you've detected 3 major threats in 3 weeks. Your squad thinks you're some kind of oracle. What's going on? Marcus considered lying, considered saying it was training or observation, or luck, but the lies were getting harder to maintain, sir. I hear things, voices. They warn me about threats before I can see them. Morrison's expression shifted, concern replaced curiosity. Voices like auditory hallucinations? I don't know what they are, sir, but they're real, and they're trying to keep us alive. Morrison was quiet for a long moment. Webb, I need you to see the battalion psychiatrist. Tomorrow. That's an order. Marcus felt his stomach sink. Sir, I'm not crazy. The voices have been right every time. I know, but I need to make sure you're fit for duty. If you're experiencing hallucinations, that's a medical issue. We need to address it. The psychiatric evaluation was clinical and thorough. Dr. Sarah Martinez was a military psychiatrist with 15 years of experience. She'd seen combat stress, PTSD, psychotic breaks, and everything in between. She listened to Marcus describe the voices without interruption. How long have you been hearing them? Since I was a kid. But they got clearer and more specific during deployment. Did they tell you to hurt yourself or others? No, never. They only warned me about threats, enemy positions, IEDs, ambushes. And how often are they accurate? Every time. I've never had a false warning. Dr. Martinez made notes. Marcus, auditory hallucinations are a symptom of several conditions: schizophrenia, psychosis, severe stress disorders. The fact that your hallucinations seem tactically useful is unusual, but it doesn't mean they're real. They feel real. That's how hallucinations work. The brain can't distinguish between real sensory input and internally generated signals. She looked at him seriously. I'm going to recommend you for medical evaluation. We need to determine if you're experiencing early-stage schizophrenia or another condition. If you are, you need treatment, and you'll likely be medically discharged. Marcus felt his world collapsing. Doctor, I'm not sick. The voices are helping me, helping my squad. I understand that's how it feels, but we need to rule out medical causes. I'm sorry, Marcus. The medical evaluation process took weeks. MRIs, psychological testing, extensive interviews. The results were inconclusive. No physical abnormalities, no clear signs of schizophrenia, but the auditory hallucinations were documented and persistent. While Marcus waited for the medical board's decision, he continued serving, continued hearing the voices, continued following their warnings, and they continued being right. Incident 4, voice warned about an IED in a culvert, found exactly where indicated. Incident 5, voice identified a Taliban spotter in a crowd, surveillance confirmed. Incident 6, voice warned the patrol to avoid a specific house. Later intel showed it was booby-trap. Marcus's squad started to notice something strange. The warnings only came to Marcus. Nobody else heard anything, but every warning was accurate. Corporal Davis confronted him one evening. Webb, what's really going on? And don't give me the good instincts line. This is something else. Marcus decided to be honest. I hear voices. They tell me where threats are. I don't understand it, but they're real, and they've kept us alive. Davis stared at him. Voices? Like, in your head. Yes, and the Army knows about this. They think I'm developing schizophrenia. I'm being evaluated for medical discharge. Davis processed this information. So the guy who saved our lives 6 times is being kicked out because he can hear things we can't. That's about right. Davis shook his head. That's insane. You're the most valuable soldier in this platoon. The medical board met 2 weeks later. 3 officers. Dr. Martinez. Marcus's complete file laid out before them. Specialist Webb exhibits auditory hallucinations consistent with possible early stage schizophrenia. Dr. Martinez stated, however, there's no deterioration in function, no paranoia, no disorganization of thought, just the persistent reporting of voices providing tactical information. One officer spoke up, and this tactical information has been accurate 14 times, 14 documented instances, yes, with 0 false positives, correct. Every warning has corresponded to a real threat. The officer leaned forward. Doctor, is it possible? These aren't hallucinations. That Webb is perceiving something real through a mechanism we don't understand. Dr. Martinez hesitated. Sir, I'm a psychiatrist, not a paranormal researcher. The most likely explanation is that Webb has exceptional pattern recognition and subconscious threat detection. That manifests as auditory hallucinations. His mind is processing environmental cues and presenting them as voices. But you can't prove that? No. I can only say that his symptoms align with certain psychiatric conditions. Whether there's an alternative explanation, I can't speak to that. The board deliberated for 2 hours. Their conclusion, Marcus would be transferred to a research program studying unexplained tactical intuition in combat soldiers, neither fully cleared for combat nor medically discharged. A limbo status while they tried to understand what he was experiencing. The research program was classified located at Fort Bragg, run by a team that included psychologists, neurologists, and intelligence analysts. Marcus was one of 12 soldiers in the program. All reported similar experiences, voices, visions, inexplicable knowledge of threats. The lead researcher, Dr. James Norton, was different from Dr. Martinez. He didn't treat them like patients. He treated them like subjects of a phenomenon nobody understood. We don't know what you're experiencing, he told the group during their first session. It might be advanced pattern recognition. It might be sensitivity to environmental cues. It might be something else entirely. He paused. But we know the things. First, your warnings are statistically significant, far beyond chance. Second, you're all functional, intelligent, psychologically stable individuals. This isn't psychosis. It's something else. Over 6 months, the program tested every hypothesis, brain scans during warning events, analysis of environmental conditions when voices appeared, comparison with normal soldiers in identical situations. They found patterns, subtle ones. Marcus's brain showed unusual activity in regions associated with threat detection and spatial awareness. His auditory cortex activated during warnings even though no external sound was present. But the source of the information remained unexplained. Dr. Norton's final report concluded, Specialist Webb and others in this study demonstrate a form of threat perception that operates through mechanisms not fully understood by current neuroscience. Recommend continued monitoring and tactical deployment under controlled conditions. In other words, we don't know what this is, but it's useful. Don't discharge them. Marcus returned to active duty 6 months later, still hearing voices, still following their warnings, but now he had permission, official acknowledgement that what he experienced, whatever it was, had value. His new assignment was with a specialized unit that worked in high-threat environments. Other soldiers in the unit had similar abilities, unexplained tactical awareness, pattern recognition that exceeded normal human capability. Nobody called them psychic. Nobody called them broken. They were just soldiers who perceived threats differently, and that difference kept people alive. One evening, Marcus was sitting with Sergeant Chen, who transferred to the same unit. Webb, I've been thinking about your voices. Yeah, I don't care if they're hallucinations, intuition, or something supernatural. They work. They have saved my life more times than I can count. So whatever they are, I'm grateful for them. Marcus smiled. I'm still not sure what they are. Does it matter? Marcus thought about it. I guess not. I used to think I needed to understand them, to prove they were real or explain them away as mental illness. But maybe the truth is simpler. What's that? They keep people alive. That's all that matters. Chen raised his coffee in a mock toast. To the voices in your head. Then, may they never be wrong. Marcus laughed. For the first time in years, he felt at peace with what he was. Not sick, not gifted, just different. And in the right context, different was exactly what was needed. Moral, the line between gift and illness isn't always clear. What society labels as broken might be a different way of perceiving the world. The question isn't whether you're normal. It's whether your unique perspective has value. Sometimes the voices others can't hear are the ones worth listening to. If this story moved you, don't forget to show your support. Subscribe to Acts of Veterans for more true tales of courage, sacrifice, and honor. Stories that remind us of the quiet strength carried by those who serve. Tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? We love seeing how far these stories reach. Until next time, stay safe, stay strong, and never forget the heroes among us.